Palito has two questions. In 2022, is it smarter to keep a young core or pull in LA and collect then trade for a star? He adds the Pelicans, Thunder, and Orlando Magic. Look, if you're in a market, this is the way I'll phrase it. I lean towards it's better to draft and start over. And I think we saw that even with the Spurs acknowledging they're in the middle and then you trade away DeJounte Murray rather than going after the double down trade. A lot of that now is the market's going to dictate who's available. You can't just will a Karl Anthony Towns or a Kevin Durant onto the chopping block. But you need even trades are risky because you need to be mentioned. The players you want a lot of the times are going to have a say in where they're going. Kevin Durant being example one. He's so far named two teams. Just two teams. And so if you're not going to be on these short lists, that narrows your margin for error in these trades. Yeah, if you're New Orleans, you can go after the level of player like a CJ McCollum mid-career because he's not just going to have his pick of the litter. If you're talking about top 20, let's say, and above, even top 25 now and above guys in the NBA, if you don't already have them or get them before their rookie scale contract is over. So Brandon Ingram would be a great example. They didn't draft him. LA actually did, but you got him before his second contract. It's really important to build your team through that route to me. If you're in Orlando, in Oklahoma City, or the Pelicans. Now, I'm not against the non-glamour markets going after the bigger fish. And I think you can put Toronto is weird because there's such a impassioned, huge basketball fan base there, but they're not traditionally mentioned among the flashiest free agency destinations. We saw Kawhi leave. I appreciate the aggression you show on the trade market there. You can absolutely make that move and they won a title, so it's fine. The cost of business there was just so low. You didn't have to give up either of your top two or three prospects at the time. You didn't have to give up OG or Siakam. So, and Van Fleet wasn't really a prospect at that point. So you didn't have to give up two of your three top prospects if you had Pirtle as your third prospect there. And then the DeRozan contract, he was a really good player, but it wasn't considered like this. It was probably net neutral value at most. And if you lost Kawhi and the whole thing didn't pan out, you didn't win a title, you got to start over. So the margin for error there, it was just different when you were looking at the context. It was just almost a no-lose situation for Toronto, knowing how stale that core had grown, even if it was a tough decision to make. When you're now making that move, whether you're in Orlando or the Thunder or the Pelicans, I think was really the Kings, you could throw there too. I think what's interesting here, people wanted Memphis, including myself, advocated for them to go after these win now trades. Well, why shouldn't they get in on the Kevin Durant sweepstakes? You have to worry about them either asking for out in a way that other teams don't if you're not on those short lists to begin with. That really increases the value of not just the draft, but if you're going to make the swing now trades, since it's not necessarily an immediate trade, if you're going to make a swing on the trade market, it's to get guys while they're still on their rookie scale deals. That way you have maximum team control and then maximum time to sell them on your future. And look, Karl Anthony Towns and Devin Booker are perfect examples. And I don't even want to throw the Suns in there just because Phoenix is such a desirable market for players when they're being ran properly. So the Timberwolves, the fact that he wants to be there, that had to embolden them to go out and make that Rudy Gobert trade in the first place. But you also probably don't make that trade if you don't already have Anthony Edwards, who you got through the draft. You got Karl Anthony Towns through the draft. And Rudy Gobert is probably the closest to a level of player where it's, he might have a say in where he wants to go, or he's top 25 anyway, and we're still, maybe we weren't on his initial list, but he also played a position where you weren't going to have a list. People have viewed the 4 years, $170 million contract as an albatross. They don't view the money, for example, like Kevin Durant, even knowing that he might only be Kevin Durant for 2 more years or whatever. They don't view that as just a potential sunk cost or something that could blow up in your face. And so the players that you're most going to covet when they're in their later years, if you're not going to be on their short list, you need to be damn sure, like Toronto was, that this elevates you to contender status, if not contender favorite status. So I do think it's smarter to build through the draft or just through acquiring players. If maybe you're at a point where you're in the middle, let's say what the Spurs just did. They didn't acquire this type of player, but you traded DeJounte Murray and you got an Onyeka Okongwu, if that's who they prioritize. So prioritize the picks or the players still on their rookie scale.